T minus 50 seconds. T minus 40 seconds. T minus 30 seconds. T minus 20 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Hi, my name is Doug. I'm the president of Guardians of the Purple Heart, and we are a 501c3 approved nonprofit organization based here in southeastern Connecticut that specializes in obtaining items or services for Connecticut combat wounded veterans that aren't being met by other organizations like the VA. So what we like to think is where the VA or these other establishments have to leave off because of their corporate red tape and limitations, we can come in behind them and fulfill these needs by reaching out to the community, working with our vast network of supporters, and just coming together as a whole and supporting these Purple Heart recipients and improving their overall quality of life. A lot of people ask us how do they get involved and how do they join in on the fun with us. A lot of things you could do. Follow us on Facebook, #1, Instagram, Twitter. Go to our website at gotph.org. You can send donations, send us a message. Spread the word of what we're doing. All the Connecticut Purple Heart recipients, we are out there trying to make a difference in their lives. So please give us a hand and join in on the fun.
Bring your appetite down to Big Belly Cafe, 140 Gore Street, Webster, Mass. for curbside, takeout, and indoor seating. Visit BigBellyCafe.com to view their hours, menu, and order online. For reservations, please call ahead at 508-949-2433. Follow Big Belly Cafe on Facebook for weekly and daily specials. And remember, all veterans receive a discount for their recognition of service. Big Belly Cafe. Reedy's Archery, located in Middleborough, Mass. at 121 Wood Street, has been a staple in the area since 1993 and has become the one-stop pro shop for competitive target archers and bow hunters from New England. Reedy's is open Monday through Thursday, 12 p.m. to 8 p.m., Saturdays, 10 p.m. to 4 p.m. Make sure to visit Reedy'sArchery.com and follow them on Facebook to keep up with upcoming events. Reedy's Archery, dedicated to the archer. Wolf Aviation Network is the only flight school in the area utilizing the Airwolf Simulator AATD and the specialized Part 61 training program designed to save students money while increasing safety and efficiency. Creating safe pilots is our first priority. Our flight sim is the perfect training device. It is designed to prepare students adequately before taking flight in our aircraft. Fly with us and save money. Wolf Aviation. Reserve your spot at 413-563-1929 and visit wolfaviationnetwork.com.
Can't believe you're doing this alone.
I've done it before.
I remember. You threw your back out. How you holding up?
Hand me that board.
Nothing wrong with getting help.
I'm good.
I did it when Felicia left.
I'll figure it out.
I know you will, but you don't have to do it alone, that's all I'm saying.
If I promise to look into it, will you drop it and help me build this fence?
Now you need my help.
It can be a real pain sometimes, you know that?
Mm-hmm.
If you or a veteran you know needs support, don't wait. Reach out. Find resources at va.gov/reach.
That would be cool.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Welcome everybody. Welcome to another episode of Fubar Studios. I'm your host, Doug, and today we've got a special guest with us, and his name is Travis, and he is the founder as well as the founder of Oscar Mike Radio, which, you know, I'm going to let him introduce himself, and we'll get on with the show and everything.
Thank you, Doug, so much for having me on Fubar Studio. It's a real pleasure to be here. Oscar Mike Radio is getting ready to turn 8 years old. I've been doing my military mission shows since 2016 and turning 8 with almost 400 shows. Again, it's great to be here. I'm a Marine Corps veteran. My MOS was a 7222 in the Marine Corps. I was a Hawk missile systems operator. So we fired a missile about as long as your car at targets anywhere from 25 to 40 miles away, and it was a lot of fun. So
Jeez.
Got out, did this, and it's great to be here as part of the Sinista1 Productions network. So we're having a great time.
Oh, absolutely. And man, size of the car. Whew.
As long as it's car, it's about 1,500-pound missile, as long as your car on a launcher, and
Wow.
when you hear the boom, it's actually broken the sound barrier. It's going that fast.
Wow, I can just imagine that that sound is actually, like, you know, being that loud. It's like, holy cow! Like a lot of the stuff that I know I've you know fired and stuff like that. It's like the sound of that gives you that little bit of a concussion, and it's like, wow, that's absolutely amazing. And so you know, as you were saying, you were in the United States Marine Corps and everything. How was that? What was that all like? That whole going into basic training, well, technically boot camp. How was that? If you can give us like a brief, like, quick synopsis of that, like how it was.
Like anything else, you know, you watch the movies. I watched a lot of Full Metal Jacket, thought I had it all figured out. Then you get to San Diego and realize you don't really know anything. And you're not in Kansas anymore. And it was a long, 12 and a half weeks. And, it changed my life.
Yeah.
The changes for real. So I got the most out of it. And then went to MCT, then went to Hawk School.
Oh, wow. I know when I got the basic, it was, again, it wasn't like anything that I could, all the movies I've seen and stuff, it wasn't the same as what I, was picturing it. It was like a whole kind of a rude awakening, but in a good way, which, kind of corrected me to the path that I needed path that I really needed to, get me in line, and all that. So, I'm going to get down to the questions of this, can you share with us, some of the significant challenges that you faced during, your time in the service, and how you did with overcoming them?
Well, I think the biggest challenge for me was I got out of MCT, that's where you're assigned. If you're not a 0311, you're not an infantry, MOS series. All of us other persons other than grunts go to Marine Combat Training at the time. It's now called the Crucible. And then at the end of it, you get your MOS assignment. And I was told going to Fort Bliss in El Paso, Texas, to Air Defense Artillery School to learn Hawk. And I asked my, CO at the time, what is Hawk? He's like, I have no idea, never heard of it. Don't you worry, they'll teach you all about it. And, I remember this like it was yesterday. I landed at the airport in El Paso and, get off there, and there's the duty lieutenant and the other little PFC to pick me up. And they tell me that Hawk is going away. It's being replaced by the Army's Patriot system. And I thought, no way. There's no way the Marine Corps would send me to school to learn a weapons system that they were going to retire. And kind of like the tankers found out a couple of years ago, yeah, that's exactly what the Marine Corps did. About 3 years into my enlistment, they were like, hey, it's time to start packing all this stuff up. We're done with it. And so it was really challenging, because at that time the score for corporal to get toward the corporal was like 800 points higher than it was for sergeant. So you had Marines running first class PFTs, shooting expert, all their academic stuff done. They couldn't get promoted.
Yeah.
So there was no pathway forward for your career at that time, unless you agreed to re-enlist. Yeah. And a lot of the Marines I served with got artillery or cook or something of that nature. And I'm like, wait a minute, you go into this trusting that the government is going to allocate you effectively, because after all, they're the U.S. government.
Yeah.
Not even thinking for a second that they would put you in a situation like this because they had an open slot and just needed to fill it. So I was really reluctant to allow myself to go through that again. And then the decision was kind of made for me. I got hurt, and then it kind of became academic. The Navy doctor told my command, hey, we can operate on him, but it'd be just better if we kicked him out now and got over with. And I'm like, you know what? I'm good with that. I stood my time. I got my missile certification, my loader certification, my radar certification. I've done the best I can do in the time I've been a Hawker. I have nothing to be ashamed of. I'm going home.
Yeah. Again, you did get up and, serve the country, and, again, it was, with honors and everything. And it's absolutely amazing, to hear, people that do that and go through it, as you were, in this tank, as what you're saying is as a Hawker, which is, with a tank unit.
No.
Not a tank unit?
Hawk is air defense.
Oh.
But I don't know if you recall this, maybe not, but a couple of years ago, the Marine Corps did away with armor.
Okay.
So when I was in, the Marine Corps had a full tank squadron, cavalry, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And then a couple of years ago, they got rid of tanks entirely. So if you were in an armor MOS, you were deprecated as well. So it's happened before, and it'll happen again. And like scout snipers, there are no more scout snipers anymore in the Marine Corps. And what do you do if you've been in that MOS for 4 years or 20 years?
Oh, okay. So yeah. See, again, mine is when I went in, I was my MOS was an 88 mic motor transportation.
Sure.
That again, it's like I on a lot of stuff I may know, and there's stuff as you're explaining it, how they did away with it. I know how they move stuff around from different things, changing MOS numbers to bringing in different stuff, to taking stuff out. But either way, it's an absolutely amazing that you were able to give that time of which was around, you said about three or so years, almost.
Yeah, I was in for 4 years, and then got out. Yeah.
So
I have no regrets. It changed my life. I learned a whole lot from it, and the intangible benefits, the things you can't see or touch, more than just a discount once or twice a year, that have stood me in good stead several times in my life.
Yeah, it's absolutely it's amazing. It's I know a lot of people have done that 4 years, 5 years, and then they get out. But again, it's it doesn't matter how long you serve. It's a absolutely life-changing event, as well as I'm trying to figure out the right word to use, but it's a venture that you get to embark on and be able to see, the different things of the way the military and how they do stuff and all that. So as we're going into that, I mean, as I know as we're talking, you've done how many books have you been a part, like, that you've done as well, that you've done, as your time since you've been out?
Well, books. So that's kind of an interesting story. I got asked to participate in some writing projects over time. People I've met through the podcast. The first one really was with Nick Dennis and Buzz Bryan on their Resilient Warrior book. I contributed to that, and it was a different arena for me. I'd never really sat down and I've written, sure, we all write, emails and stuff and things like that, but this is the first time I actually got to write, and they asked me to write about what resilience meant to me and how I got through things. It was very interesting. The second kind of tranche of that was I had met some Navy veteran through Oscar Mike Radio, and she asked me to come check out this group of women veterans writing this book, and then they asked me to participate in that. And I've done a total of 6 projects right now, and I'm writing a book right now myself. So one of the cool things about podcasting, one of the cool things about us veterans is our ability to retool and recreate ourselves. And I didn't ever write a book before. I never did a podcast before. I never did this before, that before. But hey, I never shot a machine gun before or a Hawk missile. Well, you just start breaking down the larger problem, the smaller problems, and then you make incremental progress. And then, oh my God, bam! You got a show, you got a book, you got a tape recording. It's really cool. Yeah,
no, absolutely, and that's the most amazing. I mean, again, it's an adventure, just like as your time in the service. It's an adventure that you go down, and again, as you go into the service, one, you've never done a PT test like a PT test that you've done before, like you mentioned, shoot a rifle, shoot a go through and shooting the Hawk system and stuff like that. Again, then going into writing a book, those are experiences and adventures you traveled through, and be able to enjoy that, and just be able to venture into it. Which comes into my next question with this is, what are some valuable lessons that you've learned from your military services that you have applied to your role as a parent or as a spouse since you've been out?
We'll go over spouse because I should have listened to the good old Master Sergeant, so we'll go past that one. As a parent, I think what comes into play is the idea that you're a parent, yes, and whether you want to admit it or not, you're also a leader. Whether you're a father or mother, you're a leader, whether you want to admit it or not. And the thing that I'm sure you came across that I remember is, I watched my NCOs and my officers, what they did, how they comported themselves, and how they react to certain situations.
Yeah.
And it goes double for your children, right? They'll never tell you this. I found out they'll never admit it to you at the time, but they watch everything that we as parents do.
Yeah.
Good, bad, or indifferent. And if you make a mistake as a parent, you got to own it. And if you do something good, you just got to own that too. And so what happens is, unfortunately or fortunately, they will mimic what they see you do.
Yeah.
So, am I a perfect parent? No, I'm not. I'll never claim to be. But, there's this aspect of owning your faults and flaws.
Yeah.
Just like in the military. Yep, sir, I messed up. Yes, Staff Sergeant. Yep, I messed up. I'm going to probably have to do 20 push-ups or hunt it and get strong and not do that again, right? You got to own your mistakes. And then, the real payoff is you watch them go through life, and they get that proverbial fork in the road, and they make a choice or a series of choices, or they're like, hey Dad, I want to bounce this off you. This smells funny to me, and I kind of want your input. And you give them your input as a father or a mother, either or, and they actually listen to you. There's no better feeling in the world. And when you see your children start to take ownership of their lives and move their lives forward, it's got to be the same way as when a good NCO, good staff NCO, or a good captain or lieutenant seeing that team come together and really perform better than they thought they possibly could.
Oh, absolutely. You hit that right on it. It's like, be able to see your kids take what you have installed into them and be able to go with it and be able to say, hey, you know what? Yeah, I screwed up. I'll take ownership of it, and, it's like, just like in the military, it's like, again, it's, yes, Sergeant, I totally fucked that up. I screwed that right up. I screwed the pooch on that. They'll look back and say, you know what, at least, that's that integrity that he has, which is one of the Army values that they install into you on day one. It's like, if you can provide and be able to say, yeah, I screwed up, I did that, that goes a long way with them. They look at it and say, you know what, he's learning from it. He's not going to probably do that again. It's just like, if you really took a firecracker and put it into your hand and light it and let it explode into your in your fingers, are you going to do that again? More than likely, you're probably not. You're going to just move on and be like, yeah, that ain't happening again. But it's nice when you are able to install, the certain things into your kids and be able to say, these are the things that you do, these are the things that, you shouldn't be doing, and be able to guide them along and be able to show them the things of the right and wrong. And again, it comes back to like how my grandfather even said to me, he says, you can lead a blind horse to a drinking hole, but you can't force him to drink from it. It goes back to that whole thing where you tell a kid that you do not do that. As long as they take that and run with it, they won't do it. But if they don't take it, then they're going to make the mistake and they're going to hopefully learn from it. But it's all on to them to learn from it. So that's one of the things that I've definitely taken. And again, that's some of the Army values. I've taken all the Army values that I've learned and I've installed them into my life, and then be able to provide them to my kids, and hopefully they will run with it.
Sure.
So, which now goes into another question is, how do you support and prioritize the well-being of your fellow veterans through the activities that you do with Oscar Mike Radio and everything else that you do, like the whole war, We Are Resilient, what stuff that you do with those activities you may do since you've been out, and how do you prioritize those things?
Well, for me, it's what's going to have the most benefit for my fellow veteran. There's some things I won't do because I'm like, I don't really resonate with that. It's not really my thing, and it's not really going to really help anybody. It's a perceived value exercise, right?
Yeah.
There are some things I certainly bond with and feel like, okay, this is going to make change. I think if I had to, be more concise, I tell people, look, I am tired of the 22-a-day awareness campaigns.
Yeah.
We know there's a problem with veteran suicide due to several situations and issues that affect veterans, first responders, law enforcement, so on and so forth. I mean, suicide is a big problem in this country at a shocking cost, right?
Yeah.
So I want to see and do things that involve me or the person taking action to move something forward.
Yeah.
And a lot of it was, in some ways when I got out, I moved here. I'd never lived in the Northeast before, and a couple of veterans, an old Army Master Sergeant and a Naval Submariner, did more for me than a lot of people will ever realize.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I guess in some small way, if I can pay that forward and give a hand up to a person, male, female, veteran, doesn't matter to me, but if you're trying to move your life forward and you reach a hand out, I'm going to try to help you with whatever you got to do because somebody did it for me.
Yeah.
And I think something that happens too. A lot of veterans, as they get out, they have their job, they have their house, they have their family, and it's just easy to forget that part of their lives. That's just the past. Well, there's okay, you can do that absolutely, but you have to understand that there are entities out there that if you're not putting your hand up, if you're not saying, hey, I'm using these resources and services, they'll just get taken away and be moved somewhere else.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, it is what I do is based on an action component that has to impact the veteran directly.
No, and that's a good point. Is as since I've been out, and since I've talked to you, it's probably been I've now talked and known you for probably a few years.
COVID, yeah, we met during COVID.
COVID, yeah, which was back when we ended up moving.
2020.
Yeah, which when we moved Sarah out of her place and all that, and I was even telling you about how I wanted to get into this later on, and since then I've started doing it, doing some other stuff and getting myself into certain things that I enjoy and that I see a passion for myself that I know that I can I'll be able to help other veterans maybe to get them involved into stuff like the track day for veterans. That's where I've seen myself going, and that's something that I enjoy doing myself, but I also I like to be able to help veterans to be able to get them out of their comfort zone and bring them into a spot where they can be able to get out of that comfort zone, but also be able to see that there's stuff that's out there that they may like, that they didn't know they liked, or that they kind of was dabbling with it but not really. This gives them the opportunity to be able to meet with drivers and as well as the pit crew and be able to see that, and they will be able to potentially be a grand marshal at some of the races. And we're going into year 2 on it, and it's definitely grown from the first year, because it was only one race car team. I brought, I want to say, about 4, maybe 5 veterans, plus a Gold Star mother, to one of the races, and I heard everybody, the feedback from it, that everybody really enjoyed it, which gave me a good feeling myself, knowing that those individuals really could not just stop talking about it and telling me how it was an absolutely amazing time.
Sure.
So that's something that that's one of the reasons why I've kept going with it, and even going with this the whole podcast. Which now this brings me into my other question with you is what advice do you have for military families as well as veterans who may be facing challenges related to deployments, frequently relocations, or even getting out overall, and the demands they have for the military life. What advice do you have?
Well, I think the good thing now is there are many resources for the veteran family. Whereas, look, when I was in the Marine Corps, we had some, sergeant majors, some colonels, and, master gunnery sergeants who were from the Vietnam era who were like, wait a minute, your wife is not part of your CBAG issue.
Yeah.
And that is to say that, and they came from an era too where until you got to a corporal or sergeant, I think it was corporal, your lieutenant and first sergeant had to sign off on you getting married because of the demands of the time, right? And no one would even think about that now, but there's a lot of wisdom in that, I think, where a 19-year-old guy and his 18-year-old wife are going to have a hard time if they're 3, 4, 5,000 miles away from their family making it.
Yeah.
It's just not going to be easy. But if you're in the situation, okay, you're in it. You walk down the aisle, you said I do, and all that good stuff that you say and record and put on Instagram, So what I would tell you is, hey, you're in this. If you want to make this work, and that's the operative word, it's work, a lot of effort on both sides.
Yep.
Well, then you have to understand that there are, base resources available to you, family support resources on base available to you. You might have to, if you're into something that, that you guys did back in the States, you might have to find the same group of people that do the same thing in a foreign base.
Yeah.
You might have to really make sure you can connect with friends and family over, Skype, Teams, Zoom, whatever, to maintain contact and kind of take the sting of homesickness away.
Yeah.
But the real thing I would ask is if you're experiencing homesickness, which is I don't care if you're Army, Navy, Air Force, or Marines, even Coast Guard, homesickness is a real thing. It's a real hassle to deal with, and it really impacts families. It really impacts husbands and wives. To ask for help. You might have to go in and tell your sergeant if you're, an E4 and below, hey, I'm not having a great time at home. I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And your platoon sergeant, your battery gunny, your captain, might point you to the chaplain, and these guys and women have all seen this before.
Yeah.
You don't become a first sergeant without having to deal with some problems.
Yeah.
And so they'd rather you say, hey, I got a problem, first sergeant. I'm trying to get through this. I'm trying to keep my head in the game and on mission, than let this problem blow up. And then you got to do the barracks walk with your sea bag because your wife's head back home and you've got nowhere to stay, and it's just a bad scene.
Yeah, absolutely.
So ask for the help. It's not a demerit. It's not a weakness. It's going to help you out, and understand that family life, marriage is work all the time. Sometimes even more work than being in the military. I mean, being in the military is easier than being married as far as I'm concerned. So get ready to do it if you're really committed to it.
Absolutely, and I can't agree any more than wholeheartedly with that. Is again, it's being in the service. It does take a toll, and as they say, when you get into basic and stuff like that, or even before you even head off and you're at MEPS, if the military wanted you to have a wife, they would have issued you one. And that was one of the things they said, and a lot of the guys that would get shipped off to basic, they instantly get married. Again, I'm one of them. I ended up getting married. My recruiter was like, oh, you get extra money, it's BAH this and, this and that. And it's like, oh, I got sucked into it. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. Let me do it. And then not even into going into AIT, it was already going for a divorce because, both of us weren't there. We weren't, the mindset was not really to be able to work together and be able to understand that the time apart was, it was only training, but the time apart was hard and just wasn't working out, so bam, first divorce. Then, later on, probably about a year later, I ended up meeting someone else. We ended up having a kid, and I'm like, I can't, not have, really, I want to have the kid no matter what, but it's, thinking we need to get married. Again, if the military wanted me to have a wife, they would have issued one to me. Well, I did it all over again. And again, it goes without saying, both of us weren't 100%, and boom, almost 10 years later, boom, we're divorced. So, at that point, I was already just getting out and being done, and that was it. And that's, I tell people nowadays, as you're going off to basic, don't worry about getting married. Don't just right off the bat, do that rip of, oh, let's get married. Give it time. Let yourself go through basic. Let yourself go through boot camp. Let you go, if you're Navy, go through A school, whatnot. Then, when you get out of that, then you start thinking about it. Because you got a lot of work as an E1, E2, E3. You have so much work to do, you won't even have time to really focus on, a girlfriend or soon to be wife. Again, I know some people do have kids beforehand. Again, it's behoove you to really think about it, but you can't change someone's mind that, hey, got to think about it. But I try to just steer people of just think about it before you do it, because it's a life-changing, and you have a lot of work ahead of you. And depending on how you want to make the career out of it, if you want to do a 4-year or if you want to do 30 years, it's up to you. But you got to just think about it, and being married is definitely a lot of work, and it's probably 3 times harder than it is, just being a soldier, to work, to be a married person, as well as having kids. So, which this brings me into my, my final question with you is, how do you maintain your sense of connection with your comrades and stuff like that through the time that you've, were in the service, and your fellow veterans, even after the transitioning out of the military? Can you give us kind of some of that information on that?
So, you're talking about the Marines I served with?
Yeah.
So, like a lot of people, this is before internet got really, going. You had the phone numbers and addresses, and then, as email came, you kept in touch with email, and then social media, of course, has really flattened the whole world. I mean, my roommate in Yuma is a Nevada state trooper, and we keep in contact. He's actually given me one of his law enforcement coins. People I went to Hawk School with, I still keep in contact with. Yep. You're not going to keep in contact with everybody. I'm not going to sit there and tell you that you're going to keep in contact with every person you serve with. I'm sure, just like you, some people I just couldn't stand. Yeah. Some people I could, take them or leave them, and some people I really came close to. It's one of those 3, right? Yeah. And the people I'm really close to, I maintain a relationship with them. They're really special to me because, kind of like you and me and others, I mean, very few Americans now actually know what that experience is like. Yeah. How it changes you and what your outlook on the world is like after you get out, right? So I really try to encourage people to keep that connection going. again, you're not going to be able to do it with everybody.
Yeah.
And it's short-sighted, I think you are. But if you have that true, I got your sixth bro, or that true sister who is close, that you're close with, well then hey, there's numerous ways to do it. There's Facebook groups, there's Instagram chats, the whole nine yards, reunions. The other thing I would tell people to do, at least as a Marine, is you can join the Marine Corps League.
Yeah.
It's a good organization to join as a Marine. For example, some people might join the DAV or American Legion. Those orgs, are different.
Yeah.
And for different reasons. But if you find a good one, you can connect with people who are like you, and have the same experiences and know how to survive in the civilian world if they've been out longer than you have. So it's, you don't want to withdraw into yourself. You don't want to close yourself off.
Yeah.
But by the same token, look, you're trying to start your life, take care of your family, get a job, take care of your boss. It can be daunting sometimes, but you just do one thing at a time, and as time changes, if you can do more, great. If not, then just do that one thing.
Oh, absolutely. And you've hit it right on the head of it. It's absolutely, with fellow veterans that I've served with, I don't keep in contact with all of them. Again, that would be absolutely crazy, because that's hundreds of people that I've met in my time of being in. There's probably only 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, probably six or so guys that I have actually served with. Probably 2 guys that I went through basic and AIT with. So a total of 8 people. I may not talk to those 8 people on a day-to-day basis, but it's probably at least once or twice a year. And
sure.
Again, it's there's people that I've met and I just don't want to have anything to do with them. It may not be a bad reason. It's just because I just didn't click with the person, and they just weren't kind of someone that I would have kept in contact with. But there's others that I didn't mind them, but again, I didn't make that connection with them, and just moved. We might have passed each other, probably from different bases, but other than that would be it. I mean, it's a life changing. It's just like in high school. How many people do you keep in contact with in high school?
Sure.
Maybe a handful, unless you go to a small school and everybody knows everybody still, and it's only like 80 people. I graduated with almost 2,000 people in my class. I did. I maybe only hung out with maybe 10 to 15 people, not including the football team, but I really never kept in contact with a lot of them. Yep. Again, I had no reason to. We passed each other, but it was just something that, again, I only kept in contact with maybe a select few.
Sure.
So, just like the military, it was a great adventure, just like in high school, and I enjoyed the adventure, and I've learned a lot from a lot of the people that I went to school with, went through the military with, and again, going into the whole of what you were going in saying is DAV, VFW, American Legions. Again, those are good groups to go and potentially meet new some more veterans, and some people may have been out since World War II. Some of them may have been out since the Korean War or Vietnam. Those, you will probably learn a lot from these individuals. Just don't bury yourself and isolate yourself. Get out and still be able to participate and, intermingle with some of these people. And it's not like saying, hey, let's go and hang out every day. It's like, let's, meet up once a month.
Sure.
Let's go hang out at the Legions and play some horseshoes or something. I know a lot of people got a bad concept of the Legions and VFW and stuff like that. Like, it's only drinking. And, I'm a recovering alcoholic, so for me, I wouldn't want to hang out at the bar. But yeah, I'll go hang out, but I'm not going to drink. I'm going to keep my distance from it, but I'll still go and hang out, be a member, go play horseshoes, maybe play darts, maybe play pool. Those are the things that I do. And
Sure.
Again, it's an avenue to go down for some of the veterans to be able to get out and intermingle with people. But again, I want to definitely say thank you for coming on to the show this evening and be able to talk to you. I know there's so much more I want to be able to pick your brain and get the viewers to know you. I'm going to have all the links for your show into my podcast down in into the comments and stuff, so they can get into going over to your page and watch, listen to some of your shows and stuff like that, your episodes, because again, you're like a famous person. You've been on C-SPAN of all things, C-SPAN. So these the viewers are definitely going to want to look into it and see it and be able to hopefully catch you on one of your shows and say hi and stuff like that.
Well, Doug, thanks for having me on. It's good to see your podcast growing, and the work you're doing is very important. So all the best, and thanks again. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome, and thank you. And you're same to you, man. It's your podcast is what got me going, and I can't thank you and Keith with Sinista1 Productions. I wouldn't be able to be right where I'm at now without your guys' help. And your guys' knowledge and be able to tell me the things I needed to, be able to do and, not rush into everything. Don't buy everything that you need to buy, and spend $10,000 on stuff. Go at it easy.
There you go.
So until next time, everybody, I'm going to have Beavis and Butthead just show us what they think about the show, and I will catch you guys later.
Yeah, shut up. You suck. Stop, in the name of all that which does not suck.
Thanks for watching Fubar Studios Veteran Reinforcement. Please make sure to check out the Fubar Studios on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and visit the website at fubarstudio.com. Fubar Studios is a Sinista1 Production.